Hello, everyone. Today, I would like to welcome Elizabeth Plancon to Fourth Density. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited about the conversation. Today we're going to be focusing on limiting beliefs, fear, and manifestation because I find that they're just so interwoven, and that is usually one of the big hangups is fear, and that's why a lot of people
Mhm.
don't manifest, or they're manifesting things that they might not be aware that they are manifesting.
For
And I
sure.
know I have done that. Um, so before we really start to get into the discussion, if you wouldn't mind for the listeners, just give a brief introduction about who you are and some of the work that you're doing right now.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm Elizabeth Plancon, and I'm an intuitive mindset and manifestation coach and healer. I got started on this journey a few years ago when I sort of had this calling, this feeling that I was meant to do something else that I was currently doing. And it was just kind of like following the breadcrumbs, following the path, and found my first mentor where I was able to develop my psychic abilities and my intuition and my channeling and healing, and then found my next mentor and I became a coach because I fell in love with this material about manifestation mindset, and it changed my life in such a profound way. I just knew that this was what I was supposed to do, is to help others be able to change their lives too, and just be in such a more peaceful place and a happier place while creating the life that they want, right? And they love.
Yeah, it's interesting. I find that once you get the bug, once you start to live this type of a life and see how it's really playing with and interacting with your reality, it's just you can't stop. You don't stop. You're just constantly looking for new information and working on yourself, and that's pretty much where I am now. To the point where I just had to start a podcast because I want to talk about it and I want to discuss it with as many people as I can and get the information out to as many people as I can. One of the
Yeah.
things I always like to hear about, so you mentioned that you started getting into this work a few years ago, but I always like to ask people, especially when we're talking about the spiritual aspect of things, was there like a moment, like an aha moment or something that happened or a teacher that really woke you up and made you say like, this is what I want to do and this is where I'm wanting to spend the rest of my life's focus?
Well, I would say, in 2020 when the world shut down and we were all at home, like it really was this time of reflection, right? And just studying and, because I was bored, so I picked up a book and it was a manifestation book. And I was like, man, like this is really awesome. I want to learn how to do this. And then I started to get that feeling, that calling, and I just sort of was like, okay, I'm going to open myself. I have no idea what I'm going to do, right? Like I really don't know, but I'm going to open myself up to receive guidance, mentors, whatever it is. And I found my first mentor in a Facebook group who was doing readings for Finding Your Purpose.
Mm.
And that's when she was, basically confirmed what I always knew, that I was always intuitive. Uh, but I still felt like something was missing after, developing my abilities and really learning how to use them. Like there's a piece missing here. So I remember sitting in meditation probably for a couple months being like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what is it I'm supposed to do? And I finally heard like teacher leader. I was like, oh, okay, cool. But about what? Like, what do I know that I can help others with? And then, so a few months later, I found my next mentor who was a mindset manifestation coach. And by then, I had been in a few months with her and it was changing my life in such a profound way. And one day on a call, she's like, we need more people to teach this, to spread this information, to help the world. And it was like, that was my light bulb moment. Like, this is it. Like, this is what I'm supposed to help others with. And now, it's evolved a little bit differently for me. I do more than just mindset and manifestation. I do spiritual activations and, mentoring more. But it's a big part of who I am and what I help people with and what I teach.
You also published a book earlier this year, Manifesting with Purpose.
Yeah,
So, how did that idea transpire? And I think you co-authored it. So it was two
I
of you.
did.
How did that kind of come
There
together?
was
And you got
Yeah. So there's four of us who were in a mastermind group together, and for those who don't don't know what a mastermind is, it's kind of you're getting together with other people to help you with whatever you need help with, like, business wise, life wise, just kind of brainstorming together. And we were all in the same coaching community, like we have the same mentor, and we all took her coaching certification. So we formed this mastermind. And one day, one of the ladies was like, does anyone want to write a book? And, there were some of us that stepped up, and I was like, I've always like was told that I was supposed to write a book, but I had no idea about what. So I was like, sure, I guess this is my opportunity to write a book. And so the four of us came together and kind of just brainstormed. Well, we wanted to give sort of an introduction guide to mindset manifestation. And so we each wrote two chapters, and each chapter is something that is very, deep to us and important to us. I wrote on positive thinking and faith. And then at the end of each chapter is like a chapter in practice. So you're actually applying what's in the book. You're not just reading it and putting it down and doing nothing with it. You're actually like answering questions or using journal prompts. So we're really proud of it. It was something that was fun to do, and we love how it all came together.
So it's almost like a workbook. You're reading and you're doing exercises
Yeah,
as you
yeah.
move through it. Okay, I have it in my queue,
Yeah,
and
there's a
so
workbook part.
uh, my wife will get to go through the queue for my little Christmas wish list. So I will have
Yeah.
plenty to read. Um, so as a mindset and manifestation coach, what do you see as like the most common pitfalls that are keeping people from manifesting dreams or desires?
I think it is the lack of belief in themselves, and, that they have the ability to achieve these goals. Or the first time it's, something doesn't go the way they would want it to or had hoped, then they give up and they just like, okay, well, this isn't working. And then they just stop, right? They stop, reaching for that goal or going for it. So I think really it really does sometimes takes persistence, and then of course faith and belief, because whatever you believe to be true will be true. So you can say all day long, like, oh, yes, I want this thing. But if you don't believe you can have it, then most likely it's not going to happen for you. You have to be an energetic match to that thing that you desire. And if you don't believe you can have it, there's no way you can be an energetic match to it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Even if you take like the spiritual aspect of this away, it really is so true. Like if you're going to go and run a 5K and you don't believe that you can finish it or win it, you won't. You can't.
Right.
Um, and so you just won't put in the work or the effort, or you'll find some kind of a stumbling block or something to get into your way. And
An
so
excuse.
that's yeah. I've done that most of my life. I think most people do. We're always finding excuses to keep us
Right.
from really achieving great things. Um,
Hmm.
so how exactly do we get past those limiting beliefs and fears? Like if you were to recommend one or two steps for people to immediately begin transmuting their fears into a joy and abundance, what would they be?
So I think first and foremost, it's always awareness, becoming aware of what your limiting beliefs are, and maybe where they rooted from. Are they something your parents told you, or society, or an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, right? Like, what is it that you believe about yourself, and having that awareness and what you believe is possible. And then we want to release those beliefs and shift them into beliefs that are going to empower you and serve you for your highest good. So what I do with my clients is those are like the first couple steps, is we create awareness, and then we create new beliefs that we're going to nurture. And you can do this through affirmations, doing daily affirmations. And when you do that, we always say it in the present tense, like, I am confident, I am capable, I am abundant, But the most important thing with affirmations is feeling the emotion tied to that affirmation. Because you can like write all day and say affirmations all day, but if you don't feel them, they're kind of pointless and a waste of time. So, how does it feel to be confident? And try to feel that in your body. And then that's what's going to shift your vibration and actually help you shift the belief that this thing is true for you. I would also say just to know, and this has helped me a lot, and this talks more about having faith. And when we talk about faith, it's not like you have faith in a religion. That's not what we're talking about here. It's having faith in a higher power. And whatever resonates with you, you could say God, spirit, source, universe, just believing in this higher power that is here to support you, to guide you, and that wants you to have this abundant life. Abundance is our birthright. And just by knowing that you can have whatever you desire, is a game changer, right? And I truly believe that the ideas that come in our head, these desires, these thoughts, these things that we want are not by accident. They're not just there for no reason. They're in your mind because they are meant for you. They're already yours. It's just you become aware of them at the right time when you're ready for them, when you're ready for them to manifest, and you can bring them into your reality. But so it is, creating that burning desire of why you want these things. Like, what is it going to do for your life? And that's going to help you take action towards that goal. So, does that answer your question?
It does, and it actually ties into my next question, which is,
Yeah.
how does manifestation work? The process of it. Like for me, I kind of look at manifestation as if I'm a vehicle, if I was a vehicle and I have a motor, so my brain is the motor, and I can think
Right.
about all of my desires and have a very specific and precise image of what I want. Once I've created that mental image, I use my feelings and my heart space
Hmm.
to that's the fuel to project them out. But then so how exactly does that work if it's I guess if you're projecting that out into the ether,
Right.
how does all of that kind of come into full circle?
So the best way to understand this is to, maybe look up the law of vibration. And this basically means, whatever you're putting out into the universe is going to come back to you. You attract what you are, not what you want. So you attract the vibrational state that you're in, the things that you're a vibrational match to. So if you're feeling low and bored or angry or sad, you're going to attract lower vibrational things, like sickness or debt or, violence, whatever it is, right? If you are happy and you're motivated and you're excited, you're going to attract higher vibrational things such as money or love, peace and comfort. So basically exactly what you start, it starts with a thought, and that thought creates a feeling in our body. Like, we give meaning to everything, so we get to decide what is good, what is bad, or if we want to remain neutral and not give it any meaning. But we decide what we feel, and then that feeling creates this vibration and puts it out in the world, and it also moves your body in a certain way. So if you're feeling low and sad, or, bored or unmotivated, you're most likely not going to be taking actions, right? If say, you want to release weight, you're not going to go do your exercises because you're going to be wanting to just sit on the couch. But if you're motivated and excited, you're going to want to take action, and you're going to want to work towards your goals. You're going, if you own a business, you're going to, market yourself. You're going to put yourself out there. You're going to do things to move you towards your goal. And then the universe responds by bringing you those things that you're an energetic match to. And so the key is to be happy now. So we always talk about like the things that we desire. And a lot of us will say, oh, I'll be happy when this happens, or I'll start my business when this happens, or I'll do XYZ when this happens, right? The key is to take action now and assume as if you already have your goal, like it's already yours, and act as if your wish is fulfilled. And being in a place of gratitude and being grateful for all the things you have now, because the universe will then respond by giving you more things to be grateful for, because that's the energy you're putting out there.
It's interesting. Taking action is so important, and that's how I view,
Yes.
that's the lens I view this from. For instance, like I experience a lot of synchronicity in my life. And the way I view synchronicity is because I have dreams and desires and goals and I'm working on manifesting, I view synchronicities almost as like the universe is in real time rearranging everything for me to bring me
Yes.
towards that goal that I'm trying to manifest.
Mhm.
Just the right people show up, the right
Yes.
materials show up, and everything just falls into alignment, and you end up like in this state of flow that I think a lot of people don't even understand that you can have. Like life doesn't have to be difficult. It can
Right.
really be whatever we want it to be. I mean, of course, we're going to have hardships because we need
Mhm.
difficult times and catalysts in order to learn lessons. Um,
Correct.
that made a lot of sense how you described that. I
Yeah.
would love to hear an example of maybe something that you achieved or something that you manifested in your own life, but also someone that you work with that you helped to manifest something that they weren't even aware that they were capable of.
Yeah. So my favorite manifestation to date is my home that I currently live in. We had desired to live in a home that was on at least an acre of land. We wanted more space. And of course, we wanted a bigger house. At the time, we lived in a ranch and it was great. It was our starter home and perfect for our family at the time, but we definitely outgrew it. And so I started writing every single day. I'm so happy and grateful now that we live in our dream home on 1+ acres of land by December 15th, 2022. And I had put that date because at the time my daughter was in fourth grade or when I started writing it. And I didn't want to move her after the middle of fifth grade because I wanted to give her a chance to make friends before she went to junior high. And that was probably just my own limiting beliefs, my own thing, but that's what I wanted. And so that's why that date was what it was. And so in the summer of 22, when the housing market like boomed and our house was worth so much more than we had paid for it, we were like, this is the time to move. Like, let's do this. And we started taking action. But before then, we started to go looking at houses to figure out what it is that we wanted, to feel the energy of like what it would be like to live in this house. So we could start imagining it, and really like you want to take actions that you would if you were working towards your goals. So, for example, going and looking at houses if you want a new house, test driving cars if you want to buy a new car. Okay. And so we put our house up for sale. We found a house that we liked and put in an offer, and it was a short sale. So we're waiting, waiting, waiting. And then we find out in like 2 weeks before we were supposed to close on our house that we were selling that the bank, decided we're not going to give you this short sale. We're foreclosing. So we lost the house. And
Wow.
we decided not to cancel our sale because our home buyers were so in love with the house and the market was changing and everything. And we just trusted and had faith. Nope, it's going to work out. It's going to be okay. Thank God my mom was let us stay with her for a little bit. We put our whole entire house into storage, which was super fun. And within 2 weeks we found our dream home and we closed on December 12th of 2022. So 3 days before my initial goal of like finding this dream home. So like the lesson here is, have faith. It will still work. Always will work out for you for your highest good because, of course, I love this house more than the original one we were going to buy. And, lesson two is don't give up. Like, don't give up. Anything can happen and can happen in the 11th hour. So that to date is my favorite manifestation for myself. Plus my business. Like I also was writing before I started my coaching business. I'm so happy and grateful. And now that I have my own business, my soul led business or something like that, that I love and is my passion. And then I was, had the courage to start my business. But as far as what I've helped other people, for most of my clients that I've had, it's been income related, like money related. They want to make more income. And so just one of my clients, she doubled her income in less than 3 months of working with me. So she was making this much, and we, would increase her monthly goal, increase her monthly goal. And by the time we were done working together, we worked together for 6 months, but this happened before the 6 months. She had doubled her monthly income goal. So, and that happens for a lot of my clients where they're increasing their goals, their monthly, revenue goals and achieving them.
That's one of the things I'm working on right now. Doubling what I'm
Yeah.
bringing in. So that's an awesome
Yeah,
story to
it's
hear.
it's so possible.
We uh we almost moved last year. We packed up the entire house. We're in Asheville, North Carolina, and we were considering going back to Atlanta, Georgia, just to have more amenities for the kids. But we realized that staying here where there was community and where the children were safe was,
Yeah,
and of course they could be outside all of the time, was really the priority. So we decided to stay here. I know how stressful that can be to move. And then for you, losing a house that you were trying to get into, I mean, we're
yeah.
still living out of some of the boxes. My wife packed up everything. I packed up the garage. We were about to put everything into storage, and like we're still looking, we're still searching for things because they're all in boxes. Um,
Yeah.
so I've touched on this on the last one or two podcasts that I did, but because this is really where you specialize, I'm curious. We talked about the process of manifesting, of holding in your thoughts, your desires, projecting them out. For me, as a man, where I have some difficulty is with getting into the feminine aspect of manifesting, where I'm able to just kind of soften up or, I guess, relax and surrender
Mhm.
and receive. And I think a lot of men have a difficult time with that. It's like projecting outwards, no problem. Like we're good at that, right? We have to take care of everyone, not in all cases, but a lot of times if you're a dad and your spouse isn't working, there's like all of this pressure. And so, I mean, just in general, even I have a difficult time asking for help from friends.
Yeah.
But that other side of manifesting where a man needs to get a little more into the feminine energy, and then also conversely for a woman who might be having a difficult time with the masculine aspect of that, do you have any advice?
So for me, when I talk about feminine and masculine energy, feminine to me is being in the flow and being in spirit, where masculine energy is the doing. So actually, a lot of women are also stuck in the masculine energy and they don't even know it, right? Because they're the moms or they're the wives and they're doing the groceries, doing the shop, all the things, right? And plus some working too. So I was in a very masculine energy before I started this material, like always doing, 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 doing. And the feminine energy is really just allowing spirit to guide you and tapping into your intuition, tapping into that aligned feeling and the flow and connecting with your emotions and not always having to take action. And so allowing yourself that time to just be. And so when we talk about action in manifestation, we talk about inspired action, taking inspired action, which means you are doing things that feel good to you, that are not forceful, that you're excited to do, getting yourself in a really like excited mood before taking action towards your goals, because it is going to be so much more impactful when you're coming from that energy of ease and flow rather than forcing, right? Like, oh, I got to get this done. I got to go do this. I got to go do that. And then you're annoyed that you have to do it and you're in a bad mood and your energy is completely off and not in alignment. So that for me is like the difference between masculine and feminine. And masculine's very much like strategy, getting it done, like just doing it and forcing yourself to doing it and always be in this hustle like energy. But it's so much easier to be in the feminine energy, to be in flow and listen to your intuition when it says for you to go do something, and listening to your body. Like if it doesn't feel good to go, cut the grass or do the laundry, then just leave it and be okay with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah.
and those are very trivial, examples, but
Hmm.
more just like listening to what your body needs and what is going to serve you for your highest good and taking the path of least resistance. So that's what really it means for masculine and feminine. It's not so much these gender roles, it's more of being in spirit rather than being in your body. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I had another guest, the way that she described it, in not as many words, um, it's like a river, and the masculine is like the banks of the river. And
Yeah.
then it's containing and guiding the water, and then the water is the feminine aspect where it's just free flowing. I mean,
Mm.
exactly what you just described in greater
Yeah.
detail. So yeah,
Yeah.
that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
So something I touched just momentarily on when we first started recording. Um, are we all manifesting and not even aware of it? For instance, all of the bad things that are happening, all of the positive things that are happening, like, are we all manifestors and just bringing all kinds of different things that aren't necessarily intended into our lives?
Yeah, yeah, and that's a hard pill for some people to swallow because when their life looks, not the way they would love it, they're like, I didn't create this, I didn't ask for this, and they can get really defensive, right? And but we aren't taught that as kids, right? We are taught to work hard, to hustle, and that's how you make your money, or that's how you have the life that you want, right? But really, our thoughts are creating our reality all the time. So whatever you focus on is what you're bringing into your world. So like worrying is like praying for what you don't want. And as hard as it is to sometimes wrap your head around it, we're all made of energy. Everyone is made of energy. Everything is made of energy. And so we are constantly in this movement of creation and creating and co-creating with, a higher power and source energy. So yeah, the short answer, yes, we are always manifesting whether you know it or not. It's when you become aware of it and learn how to use it to your advantage that your whole world can change. So it's actually like a beautiful thing to become aware of, because then to know that you have the power to change your life as you know it is so freeing, because you're not relying on anyone else to help you out of whatever situation you find yourself in. You can help yourself out of it. You can save yourself. You don't have to wait for someone to come save you. You can literally change your life as you know it by yourself, co-creating with this higher power from you going from inward. And you don't have to, wait for anyone else to help you with this. So that for me was like life changing when I realized I'm in control of how my life looks and how I look at life and my perspective of life and what I bring into my life. And I've learned lessons too along the way, becoming completely aware of when I bring in things that I don't want, like
Hmm.
oh yeah, I know why I did this. And when you're having these negative thoughts and negative emotions, it can be difficult sometimes because you're like, "Oh, I know this is going to create what I don't want, so stop having them." But then you just can't stop having them because you're focusing on them, right? But also giving yourself some grace, because negative thoughts are natural. They're human. It's going to happen. It's what you do with them and how long you internalize them that matters.
Yeah, I was having a conversation the day before yesterday with a friend of mine, and he's someone that I've known for a long time, but he tends to be very anxious and focused on negative things. And he's really
Yeah.
tied into what's happening around the world right now, world events, all the stuff that
Yeah.
makes us feel bad if we follow it. And,
Mhm.
I was talking to him about it, and I was like, you're not in a good place right now, and you're admitting that. Why don't you try to make some shifts and change what you're consuming or bringing in? Where
Right.
attention goes, energy flows. And his retort back to me was, well, I pride myself on being in the know.
Yeah.
I said, there's so many things that you can be in the know about that will make you feel better. You can be in the know about anything. It's where you're choosing to align your energy with, or what you're choosing to align your energy with. um, so I found that interesting. And unfortunately, I think the advice fell on deaf ears. And when he's
Yeah.
ready for it, and I think that's how a lot of people are, you just finally get to a breaking point where it's like, okay,
Mhm.
nothing's working. Let me see what else I can do. And so I made myself available to him to circle back around to have that conversation again. Um,
Yeah.
so as far as your mentorship work or the coaching that you're doing, and then also uh, your research into manifestation and how energy and vibration and frequency work, were there any authors or speakers that were particularly influential to you and helped you move towards this path?
Yeah, so Bob Proctor was, the first person I'm really studied. My mentor, Kathleen Cameron, she used to teach his program, Thinking and Results, that he created. And if you're not familiar with who Bob Proctor is, he was on The Secret, the movie, and he's a really one of the top leading law of attraction mindset mentors. He passed away last year, but his work still continues. But his teachings were what really changed my life. And he teaches from the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So that's definitely a book you want to listen to or obtain. And then if you're more into the spiritual side, Neville Goddard is another one that we follow a lot, where he teaches on the law of assumption, and which is really assuming the wish fulfilled. And that's where we talk about visualization, seeing yourself at the end result with all your goals achieved. That's going to help bring it into your life faster. So those are like my top authors as far as what I love to follow. And of course, Abraham Hicks, Esther and Jerry Hicks, I love
Mhm.
her as well. I saw her live this summer and it was so good. It was I brought my husband with too, and he loved it too. And it was just that's another one I really listen to. So yeah, those would be my top recommendations.
Yeah, if you haven't heard of any of those people, go out and get some of their books, listen to some podcasts. I
Yeah.
mean, you can listen to pretty much every Neville Goddard speech that he's done for free on YouTube. You can
Yeah.
find Think
Yes.
and Grow Rich even and listen to that audiobook for
Yep.
free on YouTube.
On
Um,
YouTube. Yep, I did
my
too.
wife and I, we actually just brought on, we have a new coach that we're working with, and she was personally mentored by Bob as well. And so we'll be doing thinking and
Cool.
results. And so I'm looking forward to that. We're going to start in December. And my mom's been working with her, my sister, and they're just having absolutely amazing results. And, I
Yeah.
remember reading Bob Proctor back when The Secret came out. And so I guess, man,
Mhm.
it's already been about 20 years. Um, and so I watched the movie and then I went out and got some of his books, but I have not actually done the thinking and results, like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
specific program that they do. So I'm looking very forward to doing all of that and putting it into action, like
It's
in my own life.
Yeah, it's a great program, and when you take it with a mentor, it just helps solidify it all. And it's timeless. You watch it and it's a little outdated, but the material in it's timeless, and the
Hmm.
exercises are wonderful. So it definitely you'll love it. I know you will. It's so great.
Yeah, I'm rereading right now, Think and Grow Rich, and it is funny because that is also a timeless book. But just reading
Yes.
some of the stories, and it's like, wow, the world was so different back when he wrote the
Oh
book. But
yeah.
everything still applies. Like all of the techniques, all of the exercises, everything still applies, and it'll apply in 100 years from now, 200 years from now. Um,
Hmm.
I wanted to ask this, and I'm not sure if we already talked about it a little bit, but when people are manifesting, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see them making? Like errors in their technique or process, not being specific enough, things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, not being specific enough is a big one, right? Like getting really clear on your goal. And that's something that Bob teaches. That's the first thing you'll do is really have a defined goal and connecting to the why of why you want this goal, because you have to have a burning desire for this thing. Otherwise, at the first sign of conflict or contrast or it not going that well, you're going to give up and stop. So, and setting good goals. A lot of us will set mediocre goals where they're the next, step or logical things, right? Pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zone. And because like in the uncomfortableness is how we grow, and we are here to grow and evolve, and that's like what our main purpose is here. So we want to push ourselves a lot. Our language is so important. Watching your language on a daily basis, how you talk to yourself, how you talk about the things that you want. If you're like, well, if that ever happens, or and it's like, no, when it happens, because it's going to happen. And we talk in the present tense a lot, like, oh, I will be successful. No, I am successful. I'm successful now. So really paying attention to your language. um paying attention to the things that you're absorbing, like you had talked about with your friend on the outside world. I've stopped watching the news, and yes, I don't know about every little thing that's going on in the world, but that's okay. Because I don't, and if you are someone that likes to be informed, that's fine too, but don't allow it to affect your inner being and your inner peace. Because when we do that, when we're absorbing this information, or whatever you're watching too. Like if you're watching, violence and tragedy all the time on TV, you're putting that in your subconscious mind. And that's what your subconscious mind kind of is accepting as truth. Our subconscious mind does not know the difference between true and false. Whatever you feed it is what it thinks is true. So the last thing before you go to sleep at night should not be your worries, your fears, whatever you're upset about. The last thing you want to think about before you go to sleep is, what would I love to create in my world? Or what am I grateful for in my world right now? Because then that's going to be marinating in your subconscious mind all night long as you sleep, and putting that vibration out. So those are a few of my things. And just to touch a little bit about, the outside world and all the things that are going on, we can have empathy for all the people that are suffering, and without allowing it to affect us and not be ignorant to it, but by sending love to the world, sending love to people that may be suffering or may be dealing with illness, sending love to yourself, because love is the highest frequency. And I truly believe, and many of us in the law of attraction world, the manifestation world, believe that we are all connected. We are all connected as one. And so when you send out this vibration of love, the world will feel it. The people you are sending this love to will feel it, and that will help raise their vibration. So the more love that we spread, the more love that we send out energetically, the higher the vibration of the world will be, and then will equal less hate and violence and sadness and all these lower vibrational things.
Well said. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of densities of consciousness. And so I haven't really gone into explaining it too much because I think fourth density just sounds cool. And I took it from, I
Yeah.
don't know if you've read the Law of One books before, the raw materials. But we have seven main energy centers, and each energy center correlates with one of the densities in consciousness. And so fourth density is the heart chakra. And so everything
Hmm.
that you just said, that's why I'm doing this, to help as many people as I
Yeah.
can, to spread love, to help guide people into one, first loving and accepting themselves and working towards their highest and best goals and achievements, then to go out and to be in service to others and really just kind of
Right.
raise the planetary frequency. Um,
For sure.
and, I spent so many years putting off doing this podcast and talking about these topics, and I just didn't feel like the world was ready to really have this type of discussion. But COVID, like you said, you like 2020, you really had a calling. Everybody was
Yep.
home. That was the
Hmm.
silver lining. Everybody was at home. You're on YouTube. People are posting like Gnostic texts and talking about Hermeticism, and the Kybalion all of a sudden became like this huge hit book. And just everybody started waking up, and I feel like they were ready
For
for this
sure.
conversation. Um, So I will ask you then, because we discussed whether or not we were going to discuss this, but I would like to discuss this because I love this
Yeah.
topic. So you are working with light language. Do you do channeling? Is it mainly light language? And could you tell me a little bit about how that works? I think people will probably be interested because we're hearing more and more about it.
Yeah, so I am a channeler. I'm an open channel. I channel messages from source spirit, for the people that I'm working with for their highest good. And it could be as simple as business ideas or just whatever they need to hear in the moment. And I also am channeling my light language. But light language basically is essentially, so we are a spiritual being right now having a human experience. And I believe in multiple lifetimes and multiple dimensions and galaxies. And so when you have a light language, basically your soul originated from a different planet, somewhere else, a different galaxy. And so I have, recently rediscovered in this lifetime this light language that I have that is so powerful, and it is a light language of activation where, by using, and for me my light language is more tones than words. Some people just speak words. Mine is more like almost like song, like humming sighs, and it activates these things in people, whatever the intention we're setting for, whether it's um, you know activating their potential, their gifts that they have that they're supposed to use here in this world, activating them in their purpose, their ability to manifest their desires, healing, so many things. And so that kind of was something that has, I've become aware of, that I have this gift and I've always had it. I've always done these noises, these sighs. I just didn't really know what they were. Like I used to sigh all the time and my husband would be like, "What's the matter? Like what's wrong with you now?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I'm just breathing. Like this is just me. This is how I have to breathe sometimes." And so when I really was able to discover like, wow, this is my light language and how I'm here to help people even further. It became very powerful for me to, and unable to ignore it, right? Like this is a powerful gift that I can help people with. And you use people may have heard of the term star seed, where basically your soul has come from a different place than Earth, right? You're not originally from here. Aliens, you want to call us aliens, sure, but
Hmm.
that's our soul on a soul level.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is now everybody knows aliens exist, right? Like, how long was the
Right,
government
right, exactly.
sitting on that? So slowly, everybody's perception of reality is changing, whether they want it to or not. So when you're
Right.
doing light language, what exactly is it unlocking? Like, if you were to deliver a code, is it activating something in the DNA or unlocking DNA or just emotion that might be stored in the body?
It could be both, but I feel like it is, activating your soul's gifts and purpose to get you to the next level that you are supposed to be right now. Like whatever's holding you back, that's getting released, and like this urge within you to do this thing, whatever it is that the person is meant to do, is being activated within them, like their gifts, their ability to help people, or just getting really clear and clarity on, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing here, and this is how I can do it. And so it's kind of helping these people move into their purpose to impact others as well. And so my purpose here, I have discovered, really, when it comes down to it, is to help lift the consciousness of this world. And we can do that by, helping others and lifting others up. And we're doing it for humanity to, save humanity so we can keep going and keep learning lessons, because this is an important world, and this is an important experience to have as a spiritual being, to be a human, because it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to live as a human, and there's a lot of lessons that we go through as humans. So it's important to keep to keep the world going. I know this is like maybe sounding like, Armageddon type thing, but it's not meant to. It's just, we have to start lifting up the vibration and the frequency and the consciousness of this world so we can continue to grow and evolve as spiritual beings.
I know, at least I believe this myself. I always have a connection to source. Uh,
Yes.
and a lot of people also talk about like the oversoul, like we're part of this larger soul, and that larger oversoul could be embodied in, over 1,000, 2,000 people on this planet. Like, in other words, that oversoul can fraction or splinter into many souls having many experiences at once. So so for you, it sounds like maybe you're communicating with that, like the oversoul or whatever you prefer to call it. So when you're channeling or doing light language, is that access always there? Is there a process to get into that state, or is it pretty much like ready there at your beck and call?
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself an open channel 24/7. Like it doesn't, for me, it doesn't turn on and off. Yes, I can get myself deeper into a deeper channel where I can really tap into people's energy and, ground myself so my human mind is not going a million miles per hour and being a monkey mind. So yeah, so usually before I get on a call with somebody, I will make sure I am well grounded and, do my breathing routine. But at the end of the day, I am still always an open channel and things just flow through me very easily when, especially when I'm talking in conversations like this, I'm able just to speak with ease and flow, and it's natural because I am this open channel to help convey this information.
So I don't want to catch you off guard. Would you be comfortable doing any kind of channeling or light activation now? Like just maybe anything that comes through that you'd like to share with the listeners. And it's okay if you're not
Well,
comfortable,
I
and I
think
can edit this out also if we need to. If we need to, if you don't want to.
I mean, I can definitely share some of my light language tones if you want, because a lot of what really was coming through strongly for me as a channel and has been in my last couple interviews is the talk about love, about spreading love and sending love to others. I think it's a really important topic to know, and that's always something I want people to understand and just be able to hear, right? Like that would be my
Mhm.
message is spreading love and sharing love because love heals all. But yeah, if you want, I can do a couple activation tones just to help maybe raise the consciousness, and the frequency of the listeners. So, if just fair warning for you guys, sometimes it gets a little loud with my tones. But if you're listening, I'm gonna take a drink of water before we do this, but you can go ahead and close your eyes and just relax. It will just be a minute or two. My activations don't need a lot of time. It's not like this crazy long thing. It'll be just like a minute or so, but I'll do it in 1 sec. Okay. So typically when I'm leading a live activation, just so you guys know, which you can also, if you join my Facebook group, which I'm sure the links will be on later, I do live activations once a month. I'll take you on this journey, and this will be like a longer 15 to 20-minute thing. But right now, I'm just gonna do a quick activation for raising your consciousness and raising your vibration and your frequency. Okay. Okay. How was that for you?
I liked it. And for anyone who's listening, I know a lot of times, I've talked about. I was just talking about light language with my wife. Um, I think sometimes the concept and the idea of it may cause people to shy away a little bit. But so I personally believe in channeling, and
Yeah.
and I'm very interested in it, and I spend a lot of time reading different materials. Even if you may have questions about where that's coming from, if you just take a minute to listen to it and just feel the flow of it and how it makes you feel, because that's, I think, the most important
Mhm.
aspect of it is like, how does it make you feel? Because it's still coming from like a true, deep, sincere place. And it's coming from that connection that we have with something greater. So I appreciate you doing that. That is the
Yeah.
first light language that we've had on the show. And maybe we'll have you back to do some channeling at some point. Um, so I have 2 questions that I ask towards the end of every podcast. I'm a food guy, so I love food, I love music, and I talk to a lot of my friends, I talk to people that I'm working with about using food and music for like a high vibrational activity or to get into a
Mhm.
higher frequency. And so a lot of times if I don't feel good, I have certain things that I listen to, I have certain foods that I'll go out and I'll eat. And so just to help people to get to know you a little bit better, when when you might be having a difficult day and a hard time, what is something that you listen to? It doesn't have to be music, it could be specific frequencies or a podcast. What's something that helps to lift you when you need it?
Yeah, there are definitely some music that I will listen to. C is my girl, like can always lift me up. C I always listen to. And there is another um song that I recently discovered, and I'm going to look up the name because it's like an 8 minute just beat song. It is like techno, I guess you want to call it, or electronic.
Mhm.
Let's see, it's called Opus, Opus, by Eric, and then I'm not going to say this last name. It's Prydz. It starts off slow and then it is like pumps me up like none other. So like before I need to get on a call or something that I may be nervous about for some reason, like if it's the first time the first time I before I did a live activation for people, I definitely was playing that song like let's get it going, right? And then if I sometimes I just yeah, I listen to healing frequencies a lot, raise my vibration kind of thing. And the worst case scenario, and it's not, I shouldn't even say the worst case scenario because it's not. If all else fails, where you just can't get yourself out of this low vibration, I call upon my spirit team, which you could do this as your first, thing you do, where you call upon them and ask them for help and ask them to help raise your frequency, ask them to help remove these negative thoughts or emotions that you're having. So I will say, angel spirits and guides, please help me remove or release these negative thoughts, emotions, feelings, whatever you want to say, because I know they are not serving me for my highest good. And usually within 5 minutes, I notice that my mood has shifted or changed and my thoughts have changed. I've moved on. And then just really giving yourself grace and maybe finding where those feelings are coming from. And so, food for me, I don't turn to food a lot for when I'm feeling bad. I'm not an emotional eater. I never really have been, but I used to drink. I used to drink alcohol, and I've stopped drinking about 2.5 months ago just to be, and I never was like a heavy drinker, but on the weekends, or if I was having a crappy day, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to have a glass of wine, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I've recently kind of became a not so constant drinker. Like if I have a special occasion, I might have a drink here or there. But for me, it was more about becoming a clearer channel and just not clouding it with any substance and feeling better. But, I've gotten into the world of now herbal drinks like, kombucha and the different aptogen drinks that are out there. So
Mhm.
if I had to say, like, if I wanted to turn to food, it would be one of those things. I'd be like, oh, those are fun. Like they'll help me feel a little bit better. But I love food. I mean, I'm a huge chocolate person. I'm a huge sweet person.
Mhm.
I'm Italian, so any Italian food, I'm a happy girl.
Well,
Yeah,
congratulations on stopping drinking. I know I'm not a drinker. My wife used to be, and it's not something
yeah.
that's easy to just completely cut out, especially
It
not cold turkey.
It hasn't been. Yeah, and it really, yeah, and I kinda went cold turkey too, and, gotten easier for sure, not craving it as much, like, "Oh,
Hmm.
I just really would love a glass of wine right now," right? Those cravings have gotten less, and last time I went to hang out with all of my friends who are all, my age, and we all drink together a lot, I brought kombucha with me, so, because I don't like sparkling water, because everyone's like, "Oh, just bring a LaCroix," and I'm like, "Meh, I don't like it." So that's I've still haven't gotten over, like, the need to be having something in a social setting, right? Like, to be drinking something yet, but I'm only 2.5 months in, so I'm getting there.
Mhm. I've seen there are a lot of mocktail bars starting to open up. Like
Yeah,
it's interesting because the younger generation, they're not wanting to drink. I don't see
right.
young kids smoking and drinking. They're a lot more health conscious. And so all of these mocktail bars are popping up, all these new drinks are coming out. One of the things my wife loves kombucha. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
tried Jun before.
I don't think
Jun
so.
is Jun is very similar to kombucha. The main two differences are, well, one, it has a slightly higher alcohol content,
Mhm.
so you don't see it sold in as many places. But they use green tea for the fermentation
Mm.
process, and they use honey instead of the
Okay.
black tea and sugar, which you get in kombucha. So it's a much lighter, much more fruit flavor. Like I can't drink kombucha, that vinegary taste. Jun is great. So if you haven't had it before, I would highly recommend looking for it. We
Yeah.
since we're in Asheville, so we find it. It's just all over the place, and you can literally take a jug to a tent. You know, people set up these farmers markets, and you can just like get a jug of it for $5 or $10. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah, I mean, we have farmers markets here all over the place. I mean, yeah, we can pretty much when it comes to like health conscious anything, Asheville is the place. Health food stores all over the place. I'm not going to lie, I don't really go to those places quite as much, but my my
Mhm.
wife does. She does a lot of the shopping. Um, so I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on the show. Before we leave, are there any other messages that you'd like to share? And also, please let the listeners know anywhere that they might be able to find more information about you. And I'll include all those links in the show description.
Yeah, so you can find me on all the social platforms under my name. My handle is just my name, Elizabeth Plancon, and it's spelled Plancon, but you'll have those links there. My website's elizabethplancon.com. Our book is on Amazon, so it's super easy to find me. If I had to, leave any sort of last message, it would just be to know that everything is always working out for you. The universe is always conspiring to help you and guide you to the things that you want, the most beautiful life that you can have. And we are here to grow, to evolve, and to be abundant and to be happy. We are not here to suffer. We don't need to suffer. We don't need to, be in pain. And you can choose to change your life based on your thoughts and your emotions, and always looking for the silver lining, always looking, changing your perspective. Instead of focusing on the negative things, try to find the positive and live in gratitude daily. That's going to help you get through, the hard times is, living in gratitude and being grateful for the little things that you have, even if it's like a hot cup of coffee. That could be abundance. Abundance, when we talk about abundance, it doesn't always just mean money. It's just an abundance of beautiful things in your life, family, love, sun, a house. And you can just look around and see how abundant you already are.
Thank you again, Elizabeth. I really appreciate it. And everyone,
Yeah.
thank you for tuning in. Please take a moment, like us, follow us, and please feel free to leave any comments, especially if there are any topics or any people you might want to see on the show. So thanks again. Love and light to all.